It's Memorial Day weekend. You may be on the open road this weekend, even if you're just traveling down the street or to the pool. And of course, you need to wear your seatbelt. Don't follow too closely and move over when you see those emergency personnel on the highway. You know these things, right? Mark Ezell, director of the Governor's Highway Safety Program, is joining us today to talk the rules of the road. So you can get your question to our expert today by texting us that question. The number is 336-379-5775. Remember, this is a text only, so please don't call. All right, so first and foremost, people are getting on the road. I saw a lot of traffic today.
You're exactly right. You know, we've been cooped up for what, almost 18 months? And so now we're seeing, as opposed to last year when very few people were traveling on Memorial Day, a lot of people out on the roads now. And we need to be very careful with this kind of volume on the road, and the fact that many of us haven't driven distances for travel in almost 18 months.
Yeah, that's a good point, because a lot of people, they just traveled to the store and back, and that was about it, instead of being on the open road going 60-ish or whatever else. All right, let's first and foremost, the thing that we want to talk about is seatbelts, because that is one of those things that the stats aren't going the right way.
You know, you're exactly right. It's a national phenomenon that we're seeing over the past 4 years, seatbelt use rates declining. You know, 4 years ago, our seatbelt use rate was in the low 90s. And when we tested last year and secured our annual seatbelt use rate, it was 87.1%. There were some counties in North Carolina where the seatbelt use rate has declined almost 10%. So that's clearly a problem.
Any indicators about why that might be?
Well, we're not sure exactly why, to be honest. As I say, it's not just North Carolina, it's nationally as well. Could be a couple of factors, though. One, we have heard this so often that we're simply not processing it. Sometimes when you hear something repeatedly, it goes in the background of your brain. That's part of it. The other part of it could be that during the COVID year, people were emotionally distracted and they weren't doing the things they normally do, like automatically buckle up. They were distracted, worried about family and friends and their own jobs. So, and a third factor could be that we're not seeing the level of citations we've seen in the past. Nevertheless, law enforcement is out there, and they've been out there in force.
All right, and so you can get a ticket for not having your seatbelt on. You can get a ticket for the person in the back seat not having their seatbelt on.
That's right. If you don't wear your seatbelt, your ticket can be up to $180, including court costs. So it's very expensive. And even though we don't have what's called a primary law for rear seatbelt, the person who's not wearing a seatbelt in the rear seat can still be fined. And they can still be dangerous. You know, if you're in a crash and you're in the back seat, you can become a flying projectile into the front. And that is very, very dangerous. The simplest thing to do is simply buckle up and make sure that all in your car are also appropriately buckled before you even start the ignition.
Right, so we talked a little bit about the fines for seatbelts, and that's, one deterrent, but really the big deterrent is when you see those stats of fatalities. Let's take a look at that when it comes to the fatalities of people not wearing their seatbelt.
Yeah, it was really, really striking last year, and it's really been on the incline. One of the more striking figures that we see is that close to half of the fatalities in North Carolina are people who are not wearing their seatbelt. Now, we can't say that all those folks would have been saved had they been doing so, but we can say pretty assuredly that a number of them would have. So that's something that we really want to get across to people one way or the other, that you need to wear a seatbelt. You never know when a crash might occur, and this is the best and easiest way to save a life, including your own.
And this weekend, this is kind of like the kickoff of the summer travel season. It's the kickoff of like what your campaign is called, which is Click It or Ticket. For people who are not familiar with that, can you explain a little bit?
Sure. The Click It or Ticket campaign is one that we've done every Memorial Day for almost 27 years. And this involves local law enforcement from Murphy to Mania, working, first of all, to remind drivers and motorists of the importance of wearing a seatbelt and ensuring compliance on our roads from now until June 6th by having extra patrols to make sure that people are appropriately buckled.
All right, coming up in the next segment, we're going to be answering questions about who has the right of way at an intersection, and also what must slower traffic do? Do they have to move over to the right? Can they stay in the left-hand lane? We're going to talk about what's law and what is people's preferences.